I'm going to let John do the welcome.
Thank you very much. It's very good of you. Just to say thank you again for joining us tonight for the second part of the dots. A little bit of health and safety before we start. If you are alone tonight, nobody else with you, please put a personal message in the text to myself with a contact number or a contact number of somebody who lives close to you, because I won't be able to get there in time if you do have a problem. And if you mute when anybody is speaking, and if you wish to ask a question, please use the chat or put your hand up when asked. And that's great. And that is all the health and safety. And I will pass back to Ken.
Excellent. Yeah, use the chat. That's really useful because we can pick up lots and share it afterwards as well, especially for those that are haven't managed to make it this evening. Jim, do you want to cover the aims? Jim Hatter. I'll do the aims. So we're going to look over just what we...
I've just unmuted myself.
All right, go for
it. Yes, the aims of this one this evening, reviewing key learning from district team.
2021.
Yes, 2021. Thank you, Ken.
That's okay. I'm just testing you.
Yeah, but we are still trying to do that.
Yeah.
And still clarifying issues. It's not a lot different from where we were when we started on the 5th, providing practical support to deliver what we're intending to do as a district. That's all great. And to get some feedback from you as to how the sessions have gone. I think that's about it. And here's some of the things that you might have in mind.
Okay. And this is just the timings for tonight. We will finish before 9, even if it's just 1 minute to 9. So that's fine. And just some very quick feedback. This is what we talked about reviewing the role description. If there's anything fundamentally wrong in that, go through the plan. And then for tonight, for suggesting amendments and what your thoughts are for your part of the plan. And I changed it to 1 minute. So looking at the people it's on, 1.5 minutes on your priorities coming up. And if there's any gaps, put some of that in the chat. Just pick up the key points that we want to hear and the plan. And we will work on the plan after this, just to get it finalized. Here's the feedback we had last time. What did you like? Good to catch up, informative, especially for those who are new in their roles. Seems that we covered the topics okay, the top right in blue. What could be improved? As always, breakouts never have enough time. Now, there's an interesting one there about communicating minutes other than through YouTube. I can't remember who put that one in. I didn't actually think we did that through YouTube. Maybe that was the recordings on that. I think I'd be interested to hear the feedback on that. And not to use Dropbox, which can be a problem time to time. If we can find an easier way, I'm happy to listen to that. Who put the one in YouTube?
It was me, Ken.
Uh-huh. And were you thinking of the recordings?
Probably, yes. I've never been on YouTube until I tried the other day and found that there was a private link which I couldn't find. And that really, I spent so much time on trying to get the minutes and the meeting and the Dropbox opened, that I thought there might be another way where it would benefit everybody.
Okay, we can look at that. The YouTube one was my fault entirely. When I uploaded it, I marked it as private instead of unlisted. And changing it to unlisted lets everybody see it as long as they've got the link for it. So that was entirely my mistake. Sorry about that. Otherwise, YouTube should just happen just with a click on that. And then on any other comments, Yes, there's a repeat of what happened last year. Perhaps we could think of splitting, the year ones and the year twos, threes. That's something that they will let Jim pick up for next year. And I'll wait to see what Warwick's got to offer. So do I. I'm looking forward to Warwick. And then some of the things that were just in the chat, the best plan, but if we don't know it, we can't follow it, and we need to expand the reach, and we'll talk about that. Some of the things about the impact of COVID and the image that we have. Training online, some are using the resources, how good that's been, and interestingly about leadership, but also on development. And we kind of got stuck on leadership, but that's a thing that keeps coming back to us. There's developing leaders as well for the future. Environment, try edgy, not conservative and safe. I'd go for some of that. But a lot of this is, it's what we do that matters, and we seem to be doing it. And that comes back to the public image bit. And for sure, cross-club events, as opposed to just solo clubs, how much more we could do. So that's just some of the points that we kind of pulled together. And if there was common threads, we've put them in there. So just before we go into the next bit, is there anything else burning people following the last one that's either not been picked up there or whatever? Shaking of some heads. I don't know if Paul's just picking up a glass. That's okay. Okay. So if people are,
can I just say something there? It was just to say that looking forward and the things that were covered last time, I do take on board the fact that we need to look at how we can, especially with the Zoom things, have more of these breakouts and make them viable and relevant to what we're doing in the coming year. The first part of DOTS has always been an information giving thing, and I think in particular because of all the people that were there in the previous year, yes, there was a lot of similarity, but I do feel that we need to have a look at how we diversify that and how we include more bits and pieces on that. But that's my view on it, and I'll be working with Jim and Brian to see how we can change things and jazz things up in the coming years.
Okay, and David? David Fryer.
Thank you, Ken. How shall I put this? I'm increasingly finding, and I'm putting it to you, Rotary is becoming more and more full-time. It's not vocational, it's not part-time, it makes a demand on all our times, and we've all got lives, family, health. Probably everybody here is involved in at least one community organization of a kind. We need to be honest with ourselves what the expectation is on each other in terms of the time we commit to Rotary. Because it's not the desire to commit the time, it's fitting it all in. And I'm putting that from a personal perspective, but I think that's shared by many. And if we're asking others to step up, we've got to give them an expectation of what that commitment means.
Indeed.
And throwing that into the mix.
Yeah, no, that's good. Thank you for that. And one of the things I want to cover this evening is let's set up diaries for next year so that people are very aware of things are preset where they are, sorting out when we're going to get together, when we need to get together. And if diaries are set up a year ahead, then it saves a lot of panic, and we can actually see if there's duplication when we're doing that. But now take that point on board for sure. What's sneaked into the chat? Brian, you're talking about the Dropbox piece, were you? Brian Stewart.
Yeah, it was Alan who was talking about Dropbox. I was just politely replying to him.
Yeah, I think
basically it's the best way of having up-to-date documents filed.
Yeah.
So that people don't have to chase back through emails and remember what they got when. And you know, once you've used it, once you've got it there, it's okay. It just sits there on your computer, and it's fine, really. It's having a confidence that it looks a bit weird at first, but just go for it. I think, Alan, would you agree with that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I use it for everything. And the good thing is it syncs to all your devices as well. It's in the cloud. You can use it on your mobile phone, on your computers and everywhere. And it holds one copy. So now I use it for everything. All my photographs, all my professional work, all my hobbies, everything is on Dropbox. And so I've got a professional account, used it for years. So I heartily recommend it to everybody else. Nothing wrong with it at all. It works really well.
Yeah, what I would say though, from my point of view, and also Mary's, is I don't particularly at the moment want to buy a professional account, and I think Mary's of the same ilk at the moment, and she had difficulty getting into it, and it was a Dropbox fault, not Mary's fault, but we managed to sort it out between us. But it has issues inherent in having to be okay and au fait with IT and IT bits and pieces as well. But we need to ensure that we're all on board with that as well. Thank you.
If you need me to share stuff, by the way, you can use my account. I'll be more than happy to share stuff for you for this group, whatever. You know, I've got a paid account anyway, so I've got you know, I don't know how much storage, huge amount. So if you want to use it, I'm happy to host things if you want.
Great, thank you very much. A couple of things. If there's key documents that are static, we need to get our website up to date and use that. And then that just makes it wider. One of the big issues we had with Dropbox last year was, you know, personal accounts are allowed up to a certain amount, and then we started sticking videos in it, which overloaded it, and we just won't put videos there. That's why we've been using YouTube, and there is now a district account for YouTube where we can put things. So we'll make that, but the fundamental repository for static documents and things like that would be in would be on the website once we get that sorted out.
As long as we can find them when they're there.
Well, and that's part of the challenge, that we're looking for a web mentor, and I've got a couple of feelers out with people at the moment. But my challenge is you've got to be able to find anything in 3 clicks, and no more than 3 clicks. And that's a huge challenge, but it's just a piece of mental playing around for the programmers in it. And it is possible because we've done it before. I've done it before in business. We can make it work. But thank you, Alan, for that offer as well. I appreciate that. So just looking at, I think if I was to put this back up, all it's going to say is the planning ahead. And we talked of having a 1 or 2 minute, what am I going to put in my plan, and particularly focus on next year. And I would ask us just to keep that quite short. What I'm going to do at the end of this is Jim and Brian Stewart don't know this yet, but invite them on and we'll sort out the plan overall. So it's a floating plan like we did last year. It's a 3-year plan, and a couple of others, so that we can get a plan in shape for us that's suitable, and we can present that and take it to the DST the end of March, and then we can share it with clubs, so it can make it very visible with clubs of what we're doing. And if we do that, we can also ask them realistically to say, so what are you doing? And that sets them up for their assemblies. So that's the kind of thought process. So if nobody puts up their hand, I'm okay. Who wants to go first and offer their 1 minute piece? Come on then, James.
Right, okay, you can put the timer on now. As you know, I'm Area 2 Assistant Governor next year, and I've made this up in line with my thinking. The Rotary clubs in Area 2 are long established, and we have to recognise the best efforts in past years. As a starting point, it would be simple for me to be aggressive from the beginning, but not all Rotary clubs are the same. Therefore, an understanding of the makeup of each club is important. Rotary's vision statement is important for each member club to familiarise themselves with. As Rotary sets its objects, Rotary clubs have to respond by taking ownership of the Rotary plan and participate in projects and activities that are achievable. An example of one of the goals is to expand the profile of Rotary in a way that gives opportunities that leads to increased membership. Provide leadership and skills training to assist clubs increase Rotary's ability to adapt to change. Gain the confidence of clubs knowing that district support is available to help them engage with members, for example, communication. Inspirational members will inspire others to develop new avenues for recruitment, e.g. each one brings one promotion. And I want to be an example to clubs in Area 2 by delivering Rotary District 1010 strategic plan in a positive, motivational way.
Good. Excellent. Thank you. Who wants to go next? I think it's so. Okay. Julian, you just made it, and then Alan, and then David Fryer.
Right, just unmuting myself. Okay, I'll certainly be meeting with the presidents, but also taking into account COVID, because I know that some of them are still concerned about it and they're not all meeting at the present. I'll also be explaining to the clubs that are leaving the old Area 3 where they're going, and I've already started that process with Carol. So she's aware of who's in what club, and I need to get in touch with Paul as well to let Paul know about his new clubs that are coming from mine. I'll be holding regular Zoom meetings and carrying that on, and that's largely because I'm not in the UK a lot of the time. But also I'll be continuing to look at those areas where we've got a lot of joint activity between clubs, and that's the raffle in Aberdeen, which is held annually, and also Kids Out, which we're hoping to hold this year. And I'll be advising clubs as to what's required and seeking their agreement on the plan that you've put forward. But talking about the plan that you've put forward, and I know you've put a lot of effort into this, and I also take account of what David has said in terms of, you know, the time required within Rotary at the moment. Would it not be possible to sort of put some priorities on those areas of the plan so that we are sort of all working in conjunction with those priorities, so that we're not sort of having a scattergun effect of what individual AGs are looking at? So I've put that forward as a proposal, Ken.
And exactly what they were thinking of doing, and hence why I was thinking of, after this, and we've heard what it is, we'll look at the plan with, you know, obviously the people that are succeeding me and also a couple others, and we'll pull that together for everybody's view and have it prioritized for sure.
Okay, sorry, I jumped in too early then. My apologies.
No, that's fine, because it's good to get that feedback.
Okay.
Alan.
So could we enable screen sharing first of all? I want to show just one slide.
Okay, it's on.
Okay, right. So I can't normally say hello in 1 minute, but I'll give it a go.
You've done
it. Okay, this should work hopefully. So yeah, we've just had a meeting, by the way, with the international group. So thank you, Mary, for organising that. So I can report that we have got people basically who will carry on running each of these individual areas. What I've tried to do is map these to the plan. So just taking the first couple of those. So this maps the international side. I thought we could promote District World Polio Day and World Immunisation Week with fundraising events. So if we do that, we'll achieve the first two green areas under the plan. So understanding of polio now and try to get the uplift of 10%. That's where the fundraising bit comes in. Then promote World Polio Day, and then this is in orange in the plan. You'd World Immunisation Week to promote. I can't see that, my things are on the screen. The work of Rotary in general and the polio now. So that first one will cover 3 of the points in the district plan. And the next one is Shelter Box, where I want to broaden this out to some degree, but the plan is here to find appropriate Rotary partners and coordinate the response to local and international disasters. So Shelter Box has been our sort of go-to international disaster charity for many years now, but sometimes there can be ones that are quite appropriate. I think many clubs have found local Rotary clubs in areas of need and where disasters are. So I'd like to sort of build on that as well. And that covers the green point again from the district plan, respond to local international disasters and so on. So that's what I prepared. So I will stop sharing in a minute.
Excellent, thank you. And that's really nice, the way it shows it how it's tied in with the focus. And I think I said David Fryer was next, is it?
Just rewriting something. Okay, from a community's perspective, it would goes like this. That we're going to reach out to communities to promote the 7 areas of focus to align with local needs and interests, and to either join, support, or build networks and friendships within communities.
Okay.
What happens next? To help us, we will plan to use our skills and experience, and we still haven't really mapped what those skills and experiences are, as well as starting to really use the various social media networks to promote Rotary International. On that last point, a friend of mine runs a website company. We were talking and his throwaway comment was, Facebook's for old people. He said, Dave, you're an old guy. He said, that's why it's friendly with you. He said, if you want to reach the younger generations, then you've got to embrace the other social media platforms. And we've all got our opinions about social media platforms, but they are there and they can be useful and we can use them. But the converse side to Facebook, if you want to start to reach out and get the wavelength of very young people, they're on TikTok. If you want to get another generation, they use, but particularly the business community, they're on Twitter. But there's a generation we really need to reach that's 20 to 40-year-olds, Instagram. And that's where they share, communicate, and network. And if we're not there, we're not on their radar. So that's where we need to get clever rather than work harder. And that's where we need to think about the skills we need. Either we've got them or we need to acquire them.
Yep.
That's the community's message. It's practical common sense selling of the 7 areas of focus rather than some of the Rotary language we so easily all use.
Indeed. Thank you for that. And one of the things I want to do, and it's not been shared, is I'd like Rotaract engaged across our different teams. And that's something we'll be reaching out to just shortly. Hence why I asked earlier Alistair if he would. I've lost Alistair now. He's still there, he's up there. To get the leaders of Rotaract and we'll even get them to the presidents-elect. Anyway, who was to go next? Carol sneaked in and then Celia.
Hi, so in terms of mine, I kind of looked at the plan and said, how do we deliver on it? So for me, it was initially encouraging all the clubs to get their Rotary Club Central up to date after they've done their assemblies, because it's all still fresh in their minds, and to get that done by the end of July. So then we've got a plan as an area for the individual clubs and for each and for the areas and what they're looking at, what they're planning. That helps us to get a focus there. And then pick 2 areas. One was clearly membership was the big thing for everybody in terms of what we're doing with regards to the retention of our existing membership, as well as the growing of our membership, and how the clubs are seeing that developing and what help they need. Working with, not necessarily just on the back of that, Rotaract already come to my area presidents meetings, so continue to be able to do that and how we can work closer together on that aspect of it. And then I'm sure I saw them on screen somewhere, But yes, Brian Glenrothes, get him along fairly early doors as DRFC to talk about, between him and Andy, I'm assuming it's Andy still doing the polio, to talk about the importance, and again, get that message and encourage that, as I said at the last session, that we tie in foundation giving, district grants, global grants, membership, public image. Sounds so easy.
Cracked it. Excellent. Celia.
Can I screen share, please?
Yep, it's on.
Oh, what's happening here? Right, I'm not, as a newbie here, I had some very much thoughts on what to do for the new Area 13. I had a look at membership, what's happening in these clubs over the past years. And it's obviously, when you see Auchterarder and places like that, Calendar, it's a bit shocking. So really, I wanted to get an idea of what was happening. What I've done so far, I've sent out questionnaire to clubs with about 25 questions. I've had several back, not all of them, but their experience over the past couple of years, how to do the meetings, what plans they've got, what events and what things they're taking part, and what they expect of the district roles, experience, and how they'd connect to the local communities and groups. Well, that's done. I'm just waiting for some of them to come back. Some have already come back with a lot of information. I have prepared and sent to some, but not all, a questionnaire to district officers. What experience do they have with the clubs in my area? So my personal actions, the mission is obviously to sustain the existing clubs, and if anything's left over, support the new clubs where the surroundings allow. And I need to do an overview by July. I need to get up to speed on the DMS, which is now, but I cannot get into the Club Central till I'm officially AG in July. So I've got to wait for then. So at the moment, I'm also doing a survey of the communities, where what's interesting, what social problems they have, what diversity, so that we can connect the social to the clubs. The actions that I've got for Area 13 is giving to foundation, polio, sustaining membership, things that of that ilk. I want to invite all the district chairs to connect to the president's meetings. I want to promote the Rotary citation. This is something we've done in Alloa for years. And we start off at the beginning of the year, what do we need to do? And we've always got it. And that is a really easy thing to do. I want to examine the mentoring programs and all these things promoting in Area 13. So ongoing, connecting with other groups in their community, the environmental projects, and that's about it for now.
That's good. And part of the sharing is when people hear what you're looking at, if there's ways they can support you, then they'll come in contact or just reach out. And I certainly support, you know, getting the team invited along for sure. Great. And I know that you mentioned Auchterarder there. I know they've been inviting some of the, I think Forth Bridges went up and had a wee chat with them. So there might be a wee glimmer of hope there. That sounds good.
Well, I think Auchterarder in particular, because they've got a lot of new housing, a lot of new building, whereas places like Calendar, nothing's happening. Nobody's moving there.
Yeah. Ronald.
Yeah, well, basically support the clubs as required to do quarterly meetings and club visits, but very much to be guided by the expectations and the needs of the clubs. Obviously promoting the key items that are in the plan, polio, foundation, sustaining membership, and then ensure that they're all aware of the availability of district grants for various aspects. And also, as just been mentioned, the Rotary citation, which in turn will get them more familiar with Rotary Club Central.
Yeah.
Obviously, there'll be the need to keep going with the initiative of the membership initiative, and also to try and encourage more Rotary clubs.
Good.
around about. And the closing thing would really be to emphasise the need for good PR and just get away from the photograph handing over checks or whatever.
Absolutely.
And get away from the whole image of being a lunch club or an evening meal club. Just I got St Andrews University students are doing looking at Rotary in St Andrews at the moment, and they've sent a questionnaire out, and the tone of it is very much that you go for a meal, and what would make your meetings better food, things like that. That just we're not a dining club.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just this whole image of what Rotary is, just trying to show that we're not there just to sit and eat and write checks.
And it's up to each club to do that and help their own public image as well.
Yeah.
And we can encourage them, we can help and give them guidance and all the rest of that. And we'll have that.
I think your point about a publicity campaign of some sort might help to dispel some of that if it was correctly pitched.
I think Paul sneaked his hand up. Oh, there's a row of them now. So, Paul.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Screen share's on.
Okay, thank you very much. Can everybody see that okay, yeah?
Not yet. There we go.
So I guess, so like sort of Celia, I'm a sort of newbie in the group. And so I guess coming from the body of the Kirk, one of the key things of reading the plan is that really against the increase our impact, that personally one of the things that I want to do is with the clubs and the presidents is continue to raise awareness of all the stuff that's out there, whether it's foundation, district grants, and polio, and then probably encourage more sort of participation sort of from the clubs. Then sort of moving into the actually sort of growth and sort of diversity of the group. One of the areas that I would like to sort of promote and sort of continue the work that's been ongoing is sort of more cross-club working. Yeah, because I think we can often get very parochial about our sort of boundaries. So really looking and encouraging how clubs can work and support each other. And there's lots of good practice out there. Rotaract's been mentioned. I probably would like to sort of test the interest sort of from the folk within my area, which I guess I'm still to find out what that is. So waiting for that surprise. I think as folk know that sort of involved in setting up the sort of the new district hub. And last night we had a really good meeting. So really getting involved in that. The social media aspect of that again is key, and reach everything that David and others have said, sort of spot on. And I think, yeah, probably one of the other key things that's a driver for me is really one team. Yeah, whenever I was in the Scouts, I talked about I was in the Scouts. I didn't say I was in 72nd Londonderry. I think with Rotary, talking about being in Rotary rather than the Rotary Club of Afferton District or the Rotary Club of Bankery. So, and maybe that feeds back to my, my sort of concern, which it is around sort of occurring as being quite parochial. I guess I look forward to learning from you all and welcome your support. Thank you.
And the support is there for you.
Thank you.
I think Libby managed next.
Yeah, so much of what I had noted has been commented on, but as I'm in my first year as area governor, with regards to the plan, my aim really was to look at increasing impact and expanding reach, and primarily getting to know the clubs, because I think you can't just go diving in with a plan without actually knowing who the people are that you're working with. So for me, it's been about visibility, about getting to know the different characters, some of the challenges they have and some of the successes. And with regards to that, it's been talking about the things that nobody wants to talk about, which is like Rotary Club Central. And once you've been on it, you know how beneficial it is. But I mean, despite so far, I mean, it's only been 6-7 months, but there's not a lot of activity there at all. But as I've gone round visiting, and I'm just started my sort of third round of visits, highlighting the importance of NPOLO now and that increasing the 10% and opening a dialogue about how to do it without without having to always put your hand in your pocket, because I think that's a big issue in Rotary, that people are expected to put their hands in their pocket far, far, far too much. It's also about promoting ourselves positively, which has been commented on by several of you already. And I think it is about that modern, and there's still stuff on Facebook where, or in the paper, particularly where it's sort of check giving. And I think it's trying to encourage people to be visible in the community and catch people being visible and active rather than somebody in suits handing over money, albeit that's vitally important, with a view to give the public to see that we are people of action. We're not suited and booted. We're out there with a spade, or we're out there with a litter picks, or whatever it might be. And encouraging them to mix with other local organisations. We have in my club been starting to do more of that, and I've been telling other clubs what we've been doing. But where possible, you know, can you speak to other areas, other clubs in your area, or organisations or groups? I mean, obviously schools are a big thing we used to get involved in, and we can't do that yet. As also been mentioned, encouraging clubs to partner with each other, because we've got so much to give. When you think of all the clubs. So there's 12 clubs in my area currently. So that's a lot of people and a lot of skill and a lot of experience. And again, I say, well, if you put your stuff on Rotary Club Central, I can see what it is and I can help bring people together. Talked about citations, because all the clubs are doing great work in their own way. But a lot of that is just like, it's not something that interests them. So I think going forward on those things, it is about image, thinking more, and I like the point, I'm not a huge social media girl, but I appreciate that that's where everything is now. It's also about making sure that the time, because I think it does take an awful lot of time, this job. If you're going to do it well, I mean, there's the wrong word, job. It almost feels like a job. And I've loved it, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, but it is a huge time commitment. On the side of membership, I've kind of focused very much on encouraging different people, encouraging diversity when I visited clubs, but also nurturing their current members. There's quite a bit of talk about, you know, we need to change, we need to do things differently. Yes, we understand we've got to get new people in, but how do we do it? So it's nice to see that quite a lot of clubs are trying to do things a wee bit differently, whether it's about a change of venue, a change of rotation of meetings, or how they're doing it, which is really important. And finally, just talking about valuing the people you have, so that we don't lose people. So it's great to bring in new members, but if they're not active and feel their time's valued, and they've got something purposeful to do, they're going to drift. And that is a real concern of mine. So I've chatted to them recently about different types of health checks, everything from just putting sticky notes on the wall to looking at the website and looking for the very sort of fancy health check. It doesn't have to be that. Let's just open dialogue and share things. Yeah, and I mean, lastly, something that was mentioned, is there any way that incoming officers can actually get access to everything before July? I was talking, nothing at all. I met with Vicky Gorn, who's going to be coming in as AG on half what is currently my area. And trying to tell her things and thinking, gosh, there's so much stuff that she could see if she could only get access. So that's a kind of by the by. I don't know if that would ever change. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And the thing on Rotary Club Central, if people are needing reports run off, we'll get them run off for you. Either speak to whoever's there just now and they'll get them done. I'll support that, and I'm sure that others will help as well. So thank you for that. Mary.
Yeah, I don't have an elaborate plan, but I do have some bullet points and things. I'm coming out of my second year as president of my own club, and I'm coming out of 3 years as a team leader. So I'm looking at the challenges I faced in those roles and how I can help similar, you know, going forward as an AG. I definitely think there needs to be, the AGs need to get the team leaders much more involved with the clubs, you know, and vice versa. And I do think we've spoken about it so many times as team leaders, but we never really get invited along to president's meetings or anything. And I think it is very important because, I mean, as Alan was saying, there's a lot of good people in each of these teams that could be helping clubs with various things. So that's one of my main aims.
Okay.
First of all, I need to get to know the clubs in the district, in my area. And I think we also need to make sure everybody understands what the new areas are and why they're changing and, you know, things like that. What else do I have? The Rotary Club Central. I know I've spoken to people in more than one club who really don't know how to use it. So for me, I think it's maybe make sure that I completely understand it, that I can go hands-on with the clubs and show them what to do and make sure they understand it. Similarly, in my role with international, there's a lot of clubs don't really understand how foundation works and how grants work and whatever. So I need to make sure that I have an easy way of getting that information across to them. What else have I got? Rotaract clubs. I do think in my area there is a lot of potential for a Rotaract club. We have a snippet of something that might come, and I think we should focus on that within the different clubs and see if we can get a Rotaract club for the whole lot of us. I think there needs to be more within the clubs, you know, that one club might have expertise in social media and another club's got expertise in something else. So it's teasing that out of the clubs and put them in touch with each other and passing that information across. Share the expertise that they have. And I do find a lot of people, if they're really good at something and you ask them to come and help, they're really happy to do it. So I think that's probably most of what I've got. Also, I've written here to take as much advice as possible from the AGs who've been in the role for a few years. I'm sure you've all learned plenty, and I'm always happy to hear from somebody who's learned something new and this is how they dealt with it.
And that's part of this session as well. And
Yeah.
milk it all this weekend in Warwick.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, milk it all this weekend. Brian.
Thanks, Ken. Well, of course, I'm very, very new to this and got no leading at all. So my first job is to try and get to know my team and meeting Bill's. I'm going to have to go and let my wife in here. I'm sorry, she's rattling at the door.
Paul was the first priority, really.
You got to look after the boss. Here he goes.
Brian, that's your minute up.
That was easy, wasn't it? No, she's been judging at the Rotary Young Photography of the Year competition. So there we go. Yeah, so I've got to get to know people and find out what's going on. It appears from what I've been hearing that the amount of giving to foundations has been dropping off, and a lot of clubs don't give anything at all. I'd like to try and understand that a bit better and try and encourage people to get involved in being sustaining members and to understand that as they put money into foundation, then they can take money out when they apply for grants and things. I'm hoping that I can encourage clubs to look at ways they can get involved in projects, perhaps by having some kind of a directory which says current projects we've got in different categories, looking for people to join in and help. So if a club doesn't want to get involved in a big way on their own, they can see another club, and if they were, say, interested in, let's say, water and sanitation, they could see what water and sanitation projects were on the go at the moment. They were looking for some support and just start getting involved in that sort of very easy way. So that's another thing I'd need to do, is find out what projects are running. Again, encourage other clubs to work with one another. Our club has worked with other clubs to do projects like health centre in Uganda, for example, we worked with Dunfermline Club. And at the moment, we're working with Culloden, Inverness and Culloden on the Malawi project. So I think this inter-club working will be a good thing. It'll encourage people to get more involved. And it does seem obvious that foundation and international work so closely together. So I'd want to keep a close relationship with international as well with Alan. So they're my early thoughts. Looking forward to the training in Birmingham in a few weeks.
Excellent. And foundation is going to be one of the key themes that the new presidents will get at the presidents-elect this year. There's a 50-minute session on it over that end. So, who wants to go next? Who we missed so far? John?
Just want to say with the learning and development stuff that I will continue reviewing how we do training. I'm really keen to carry on doing the district training online and likewise with the presidents as far as we can. I do think there is a place for face-to-face. I'm quite happy to look at doing road shows, particularly in the three or four major areas where we have a lot of Rotary clubs: Inverness, Aberdeen, Dundee, Perth, Stirling area. Be really keen to do some roadshows like we did a few years ago, and I think that'll try and encourage some of the. I'm really keen to encourage some of the younger Rotarians, shall we say, some of our new starts, some of our newbies that are still keen to come along and share why they wanted to join Rotary and what they're looking for, because I think we need to be sure that we're covering all bases when we're doing the training and certainly the mentoring training and the membership stuff that Alistair's been working on. We'll look forward to doing some of that. Assembly and conference are still part of the remit and making sure that we're covering membership task force stuff, public image stuff, and really sharing something that the Rotary clubs do. And we all do a lot of good stuff out there, but we don't get a chance to, well, we shout about our own things, but to share with other people the success stories, and we need to move on with that. And that's what I'm looking to look after for the next year anyway. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And you managed that in a minute. Brian.
Hi there. As incoming DGN, it's quite an interesting position to be in, because there's a couple of people going to be doing the big things for a year before me. My plans, or things I want to focus on, are continuing to encourage and support innovation and change across all of Rotary. I think by and large people are doing it, clubs are doing it, but we need to keep pushing it. Supporting the public image of today's Rotary through publicising the good work of our clubs and helping clubs get their message across effectively on appropriate platforms, and translating this into membership as much as we can. We're still seeing the grim Facebook posts of people having lunch or a Zoom call. They need help. Some clubs are doing fantastic work. Linking our day-to-day work to clear support for local and international communities and the environment. Now, in order to push all of that, I need to really get to know the district team, get to know the areas, the clubs, as far as possible, the clubs and the members. And echoing David's point from earlier, we need to make sure we all use our time effectively, and that we use everybody's expertise and experience effectively, and we need to share what we're doing. And we need to keep persuading clubs of the value added by the district team and Rotary Foundation and end polio now. And of course, I'll be clearing up the mess that Ken and Jim leave behind as well. So.
As always, I'm going to pick an Alistair McNair next, I think.
I wondered when you were going to do that, Ken. I mean, basically, one of my problems has been that 2 years ago, we started off a campaign to try and make Rotary more understood by normal Rotarians. And there were 2 or 3 clubs that expressed an interest to get involved. But unfortunately, the pandemic, I'll blame the pandemic for meaning that we couldn't go much further forward with it. I would like to pick that up, take it forward. The fact that there's so many new AGs, I think that might be the opportunity to encourage them to take forward the information on Rotaract. And it's really one of the, somebody said, we have a group of people who meet once a quarter and talk about all the wonderful things that Rotaract are doing across the whole of the Great Britain Island. But one of the things that really hits you is that it's the number of people who were not brought up in Britain and Ireland who are actually very keen on Rotaract. And one of the problems has been that Rotaract across these islands has really diminished from what it used to be in the days when they weren't good enough to join Rotary, allegedly. So we need to reverse that trend. And I think attending area meetings that they've done in Area 4 for a while, although it hasn't happened in the last year, is something we should encourage for all 13 areas, or as many as we can. So that's the way forward. Anytime anybody meets a Rotaractor, they are blown away with their enthusiasm for doing projects, for doing things together. I wish we could probably take that and put it into Rotary itself. I know that Rotaract is part of Rotary, but you know what I mean.
I was quite interested. Rotarians, instead of Rotaractors, are now just another form of membership, like an associate member or a whatever. And I never realised that till this past week. Rotaract, I think, has got a super opportunity. I also think Interact. I think I'm going to get this wrong. I think we've got 10 or 12 Interact clubs across district.
I think it must be around about that, yeah.
And it's how we convert them to Rotaract going forward.
Yeah. And when I was at the Ryla camp back in July 19, I tried to encourage them. There were a few, it was a girls' camp I was at, and there was a few of them who were members of Interact, but there was no Rotaract for them to go to.
We'll change that. We'll get that sorted. Who's not covered? David Anderson, do you want to?
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, so like the rest of us, I was asked to present my key activities that align with the priorities in 1 minute. I found that a little challenging to come up with much meat. Firstly, because I'm very much a newbie here, and secondly, because my role is to be a sort of behind the scenes role. But having read through the plan a couple of times, the things I picked up on in particular were certainly echoing everybody else. As we all know, we need to get members. That's a big thing. But you'll remember there was one section that was headed create new channels into Rotary, and that certainly that one did catch my eye. It is a big one to focus on. And a couple of points in the plan that, although they're within my remit here, I would certainly be more than willing to work along with fellow district officers. One is in the starting new clubs, and the second one was the one that was headed up build new partnerships with businesses through corporate membership. I think that one certainly has a bit of mileage in it. I did mention a scary sort of fact at the breakout session at the first meeting, which was, you know, it was said that we have to, you know, there are some people around that are still under the impression that Rotary is only for business and professional people. Now, the scariest fact is, although of course I'm aware that it's no longer only for business and professional people, I don't actually know what the criteria for membership now is. And if I don't know, well, what chance has anybody else got of knowing? So I think that the awareness of that needs to be made very clear.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of I can make it very easy. They're going to be an adult.
Okay.
I've lost Kath. Will come up in a minute. I'm going to ask Julian first, and then Kath.
Okay, it's really just to build a little bit on what Alistair was saying about Rotaractors. Certainly in my club, we've had Rotaractor members of our club for some years now. And when it comes to social media, these guys actually know their stuff and can help you out enormously. And I would recommend that to everybody. If you need help with social media, get the Rotractors in. They'll do it and blow you away.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm just sort of leading on from what David said, which was very helpful. First of all, being a district secretary is very mundane. It's not boring, but it's very mundane. So I just do the day-to-day stuff. So if you're stuck and want to know who can join Rotary, then you drop me a line and I tell you. Same with many other things as well. But I think from my point of view and looking at the plan, one of our key areas is internal communications. Just a wee step for a hint, for those of you who have not yet sent me your report or begged for an extension, tonight's the night. And it's helpful to get reports on time, which I think Ken's going to ask me to say something about later. But on internal communications, that's one of the problems I think we have just now. As Ken said earlier on, a key priority, which is not actually my area of responsibility or indeed expertise, is to get the website up to date. This is simply a self-preservation approach, because if that's up to date, I don't get inquiries. So that really must be one of our internal priorities, that we get that up to date. It's not terribly difficult. A lot of the stuff we just link onto Rotary GB&I. So as I say, it's my role next year to help you with anything. It'd be fabulous if you can get your clubs to look at Rotary Club Central. We can run a training course on that. But actually, most of us trained ourselves, same with DMS. It looks difficult, but it's not. It's just, at times, it's a little bit frustrating because some of these Rotary websites are busy and they fling you out every so often. So, as I say, my priority, internal communications. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, thanks very much, Kath. And in a minute, well done. And if Jim Hatter thinks he's getting off with it, this is your time.
I knew you would come around to me for some reason, but it's okay. Well, it's my responsibility to support you. You will be the boss, and also to support the district. And mainly it's to help support these new people and the older ones and AG team leaders so that you can do your job. Because we have to remember in all cases that our top priority in Rotary throughout is to grow it, gain new members, gain new clubs. Otherwise, we'll fall well behind. And it's a changing world. And if we don't keep pace with that change, we're going to be out on our ear. And we need that commitment. So that's my task.
Thanks very much. And for me, I don't like being called the boss. I like to think of it as an orchestra leader in some shape and helping pull everything together and working with you and letting you do what's necessary to help build this fabulous organization. That's where I'm coming from. So thank you all very much for that. As I say, one of the things we are going to do is we'll pull together the plan and absolutely we want to prioritize what's in there. I get concerned when I see a multitude of actions and we actually wonder which bit of an elephant we need to eat first. So we'll get that sorted over the next couple of weeks. I will ask for a couple of volunteers to help Brian and Jim and myself with that so that we can build it and get it ready so that we can share it at the DST towards the end of March. Any just fundamental things over the next minute or so, or we'll just take a break and then we'll come back and go into our breakout groups? No? How about we have a 10-minute break and come back at 10 past?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a break, get a coffee, and 10 past, we will restart right on 10 past.
Look very pensive there, Ken. Very quiet too.
It's not letting me allocate people to the rooms.
Oh no.
Oh, here we go. Wait a minute. So room 2 will make the team leaders. Who have we got? Ryan, David, yourself. I've lost Brian Stewart. Okay, and room 1 will make the assistant governor. Ooh.
We've got Kath first anyway.
Yeah, just for a couple of minutes. James.
Everyone set for travel on Friday, yes?
Yeah, assuming it's all running.
Go, Brenton.
I think they'll give an update tomorrow.
Right, do it again then.
Therefore, an understanding of the makeup of each club is important. Rotary's vision statement is important for each member club to familiarise themselves
Is that you? It's going like that, Jim?
No, it was James.
Was it? I just going on mute. Jim, did you get the note earlier of the kind of the suggested questions for your group?
No.
In
I'll
the email.
I've put them on a slide for next anyway. So
That's okay. I'll
I've never seen Mary without a backdrop.
Did you send an email?
And yeah, I've sent it lunchtime-ish.
Ah. I haven't got them. No.
Ken, can I ask a question, please?
Yes, do you want to ask another one?
Should I be contacting my Area 2 clubs from now on?
Let's have a chat over the weekend on that.
Right, okay.
But yeah, and we'll come to that. There's a couple of questions just on that in the next session. So.
We're just having a lot of warnings down here with the weather. It's gone wild.
Is it?
Yeah. It's a foot of snow due on Friday morning.
It's
when I've got to get to Stirling, which was difficult last week with snow. But Edinburgh, the Queen's Ferry crossings closed. Edinburgh Castle was closed.
And is that through until Friday morning?
That's the new one. It's Dudley at the moment, Eunice on Friday, New Storm on Friday, and another one on Saturday.
Goodness.
But the wind outside is horrendous. 90 miles an hour it says.
Wow.
Definitely it's further south in Scotland compared with the Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire areas. It's definitely you guys, Celia, I was watching it in the news at the evening time. It was those warnings. Are you in the amber or are you in the yellow warning area?
We're in the main warning area.
The
It's funny, it's not bad here at all in Glenrothes.
No, I think it's just a bit further south here.
Yeah,
I've just had my fence repaired from the last one.
Yeah, this afternoon they closed Edinburgh, Stirling, Glasgow Castle, Glasgow Cathedral. Everything's shut until further notice.
I'm still clearing trees I lost the last time round. I got about 20, 25 down, and I hope there's no more go tonight.
But how's your trees, Julian, in the house?
We're not getting much wind at the moment, which is I'm thankful for that, because we've got a tree that has to come down in about 2 weeks' time, which is rather precarious. So I'm hoping we are keeping free of the wind. The garage is in the process of being repaired.
Right. So there's just a couple to come back. It is 10 past. Here's David Anderson. So if Alistair McNair sneaks back, there he is, and David will sneak in. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to put the screen share back on again for a second. So thanks very much for all that input. That was really worthwhile and really focuses on why we need to really prioritize it for everyone. So we will build on that, and I will be asking for a couple of names just to support this over the next couple of weeks so we can get it presented at the DST and do that. So we've done the break. Kath, DMS Rotary Club Central can make life simple. You did, and reports was the other piece from you.
Okay, just a couple of minutes. If you're not familiar with DMS, it can make your life incredibly simple because you can look up any of the Rotarians in the district. You can see all sorts of things. As I said, I think a number of us just taught ourselves earlier in this Rotary year. Christie, Rob McMahon did a very good session on it, and we can do something again. So it is a useful tool of seeing who are in clubs. And Rotary Club Central, it is very frustrating for incoming assistant governors who are new to the job, because no matter what has been done in the past, Rotary International won't agree to anything other than people seeing these things on the day that they take over, the 1st of July. But as Ken was saying, there are ways of printing out stuff if you want it, or giving information. Rotary Club Central at the present moment is very, very poorly populated. So once you're in post, or even before, why not encourage the relevant person in your club to populate Rotary Club Central? Because if we don't do it, we really can't expect anybody else to be bothered. So if we can set an example on that, it's very good. You won't catch me out because my club is up to date. So please do it. It really, you know, as I said before the break, these programs are not terribly complex. They're clunky. There's no question of that. They're clunky, but they are incredibly useful. And I'm being backed up at the moment by Mimi, the little white cat who's shouting yes in the background. I don't know if you heard her, but that's Mimi. Okay, reports. Really call for a report for the district executive stroke DST, and also for the district council. For those of you unfamiliar with it, I'll send out the type of report that we've been using currently. For a moment, I'll address the AGs, particularly the new AGs. Don't feel that you have to write a book or an essay. What we're looking for is the key issues that are ongoing in your area just now. So we're looking for the good ideas. We're looking for clubs working together on a good idea, or a particularly good idea for fundraising, if that's important, or any sort of new type of project which might be shared throughout the district. So if it's usual, excellent, but run-of-the-mill things, the recent examples be the number of clubs that had Santa sleighs out and about. It's fabulous that they do that, but we don't actually need to know that. We're looking for innovative practices, particularly in gaining new members, what people have done. And for the team leaders, there is a format there. I can send you the current one if you're unfamiliar with it. It may change, because once Ken and Jim and Brian have looked at the plan, there may be some of the things that we had to report on before that we no longer need. So that's the way that we do things. David, our treasurer, new treasurer, David, you just tell us lots and lots about finance, but Ewan will tell you what's usually there. And from the DG team, as they know, or perhaps know, there's no particular format. But I am terribly grateful if you would send these on time, or let me know if it's going to be late. Picking up the point that David Fryer made earlier on, you know, this becomes a full-time job, and particularly at the moment, being district secretary is only a step away from a full-time job, to be quite honest with you, in the number of things that are happening just now. So I'm ever so grateful if you send me something. I don't care if you would send it in the format, that's fine. I don't much care what the font size is, because I'll change it to the font size I want to use. But the main thing is to get the reports. And thank you for those of you who are going to get me something for first thing tomorrow. I certainly will not be working on after 9 o'clock. So first thing tomorrow, be great. Yeah, of course, as some of you know, I start working on Rotary stuff at 7:30 in the morning. Thank you very much, Ken.
No, thanks.
And sorry, I just add, as I said before the break, if there is anything that you're not sure about, or you've got a club that's not sure about, just drop me a line. It's easier if you write to me, and then I can prioritize it. If you want to give me a ring, that's fine. And I don't do everything. I just mainly do the constitution and stuff like that. So thank you very much.
And I would just really echo that Kath is extremely supportive, and anytime I ask her for something, I'm astonished if it's not back within about 3 or 4 hours. I don't know how she finds the time. So thank you, Kath, for what you do. It's appreciated. Let's go back onto that screen a second. So that was really the need to knows on that. Now we've got a half hour of breakout. It's a bit more than we had last time. And we're going into groups with the AGs and the groups of the team leaders. So what I've asked Jim and Brian to have a look at, what kind of feedback will you give at clubs? So let's hear what the experienced hands have been doing, particularly getting dates for club assemblies in May and June. Ask for them now. And also think about, ask what's going to happen with your presidents at district assembly, because we will get time, you will get time with each of your presidents-elect at assembly. If there's things you want to get from Warwick, if you've got time to think about that. If not, we'll get time to think about that over dinner on Friday night even. And I would encourage you to set dates for the area presidents meetings next year, and do it now. And you've just heard Kath, she likes to get reports about now, which is 4 weeks before the district meetings. So if you had your area presidents meetings before that, the dates are available and we will share them for the next Rotary year. And we've talked about RCC. So that's the kind of topics on there. It's up to you to work with Jim on that. And then Brian, with the team leaders, how can they work together to promote the plan? The seminars at District Assembly, we are looking for each of the team leaders to look at a seminar on your topic, not long, 40 minutes perhaps. You'll get more questions, so you don't need big presentations or anything, and how to engage clubs. And anything else you want effectively in that. Is there any questions on that? So really it's, what do you need? How best to move forward? Kath, I've not actually put you in a breakout room. I was going to ask which one would be best, do you think?
Probably, I don't know. I maybe in with the AGs in case they've questions. I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. And if not, you can pop out and we'll move around. I'll join both rooms at some time. So I'll just get Kath into the AGs one. That's done. And I'll open the rooms now and we'll come back at just 1:45. So we've got 25 minutes. 25 minutes.
So foundation has to be spoken about. The clubs have to be informed at the assembly for that. There's training that has to happen before the clubs actually meet for the first time in July and move forward for their year. So there are things, the training that has to happen prior to the July meet, but things like the international things like the community, environment, all of these other things aren't necessarily essential at that point, because a lot of the clubs are just starting out, getting their committees sorted out and who's going to be working on these. So you could have all that training prior to July, but most clubs will know who's dealing with that or doing that. So the interaction would be easier after July, August, September time, when the clubs are in post, got their little teams together, and you can then encourage them moving forward. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's my view. And that means that all the training and the team leaders bits and pieces where they can be specialized are split through the year. And that's where the district, not the district, but the road shows, I'm going to call them, the road shows throughout the district in the main population areas will catch the most people. And then the people out with those areas, as in the islands and the far-flung districts, then that's what you use your Zoom for. And you can do them in a smaller, more intense, one-to-one almost fashion.
Yeah. So the assembly is kind of an overview for the people that are there, key people, plus that foundation training. Is that kind of...
Yeah, I think...
So we're going to advertise that. Okay, let me go back a bit.
Yeah.
3-4 years ago, before COVID or anything like that, and we had what they called CLS, Club Leadership. We did all the training and we duplicated it either in the March, April type times when we used to go down to Aberdeen, Inverness, Perth. And then we repeated it at assembly, and then we repeated it at other times. So we've structured it so the district officers, you, me, go through this session together. We then get the presidents-elect together, and they get a briefing on the plan and everything else and the expectations. It's not going to be any different. They'll have a higher level thing. And then assembly, we want to share with them, here is our plan. So, but the presidents-elect will be there. We want them to set up their teams, so their teams can come to assembly and get, whether it's foundation or membership or whatever, international, a session there. And then roadshows can repeat that throughout the year, because we're going to invite, at assembly, it's normally the president-elect and their team. But it's no reason why all Rotarians shouldn't be at assembly. And they can, if somebody's got an interest in membership or foundation or international or whatever, they can go and get some things on there, as well as being hopefully inspired by the rest of the group as well. So we will be going back to that, and we will then have the opportunity for roadshows for people that want more and delving further down into the clubs. But we want the fundamental club training so they know what's needed in the plan and the support they've got for their plans at assembly time.
Okay, that's a little bit more involved than I was under the impression it was going to be.
Sorry about that, John.
That's all right. I'll just wing it. But what I will say, Ken, just on feedback from speaking to and no apologies, David. Sorry, I will apologise. I spoke to Ewan about the training for this year. Ewan is very much of the opinion that a Zoom treasurer's training will get him more people than going to the assembly and doing it at assembly. So I think the secretaries and the treasurers, where you've got people that are long time in role, as in they're doing 4 to 5 years, it will get more out of. Sorry, I'm assuming, are you all still there? Did I freeze?
No,
you're
not.
Still here.
You've frozen.
I've got a very blank Ken. Am I unfrozen now? Was it me that was frozen?
Yeah.
You froze after you asked the question.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. I apologize for that. It's obviously the high winds that aren't here yet are obviously affecting us. But I do think the things that, like, secretaries can be in post for 3 to 4 years, and treasurers the same. They're long-standing Rotary posts, and the things like doing the same training for them all the time doesn't necessarily work. So the idea was that the Zoom training would allow a more specialized sort of link for them. But I think doing an introduction, as you said, at assembly to each of the team leads and what they do, and see if anybody wants to help with those departments, I think that is worth doing. And kind of, if it was a face-to-face sort of thing we were doing, what I would just suggest that we do is have an open space with tables around the outside, with international at one, with community at another, with somebody else at another, and just talk to people about what you do and what you're looking for. And I think that interaction would work. Brian?
So when is assembly going to be?
So it's planned to be the 23rd of April.
Right.
That is the date that's in the diary, if I remember right, Ken?
24th.
24th is Sunday.
The Sunday 24th.
Was it Sunday the 24th? Sorry.
You moved it. Remember,
So-
there'll be discussion about when.
Right, so it's Sunday the 24th.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't know where it is or what format it is, but can I just, from a selfish point of view, from Foundation then, so my training in Birmingham is in March. So I would go there and then I'd do a session at Assembly on the 24th, is that?
Yeah, what I've again, Brian, with Bill and yourself.
Yep. So Bill would do that one this year. of course.
Bill would do it with you, and the idea is to have that knowledge with you to do it. We don't want to drop you into it.
No, that's all right.
So it'd be very much Bill would be hosting it with you, and likewise Ewan with David, from David Anderson, from that point of view. The 20th, the 24th is the date that we're definitely going for. The North Inch is definitely available, Ken.
Okay.
And that's Perth. The beach ballroom wouldn't be available on that day. It's available on the 23rd.
Now, Kath's going to just bounce a quick check around the clubs to see if they're going to be comfortable coming or if they want something on Zoom or whatever, or if it's hybrid. So we're just going to do a very quick check on that over the next few days. I've got a note to drop Kath, just giving her an outline of what's going to be covered.
Okay. I'll drop an email to North Inch then to provisionally hold it.
Right. The other, I mean, one of the other things that's come up in the past, especially about publicising, what teams do and what clubs do, is rather than the clubs broadcasting what they do, to try and get the people who've benefited from everything to talk about the benefit.
We're all going down to Warwick, I take it, yes?
Yeah.
No.
Hopefully.
Well,
Yeah,
those,
yeah.
those,
As long as the
those who
flights
are
not cancelled.
going,
If we can get there, yes.
well, those who are going, what are your expectations at the Warwick training?
Motivation.
I have no idea. Yeah, to be inspired, I think, and just to meet people that we've met on Zoom. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
I think getting to know the team, our local team better. So that us newbies can ring up the ones that have been doing it for certain times and go, what have you done and how do you do this? And it's a lot, once you've sat and had a glass of wine with them, it's a lot easier to ring up.
Just one.
I can see a common theme in this group, I tell you.
You bring your wallet, Ken.
I think it's
Link to the DG.
I heard somebody argue that a bottle is a glass.
Well, a glass is a bottle, whichever way you want to look at it.
I think it's fair to say that Inverness Culloden have had little or no contact with AGs for a long number of years, and does go back a long number of years. I just want to know what the role of the assistant governor is. Yes, Kath has given me a job description, but when do I start being an assistant governor? Is it now, or is it on the 1st of July when it's officially appointed? Do I have to go to the club assemblies? Does Carol come along with me as a mentor? All that information I would need prior to starting. Another thing, Kath is on about reports and that. Not in my puff have I seen a report in all my time in Rotary, going to district, prepare for district. Not once have I seen one.
Well, that's about to change.
and even my year as president, no one came and asked me for that.
Well, we could change all that, and
yes. Well, this is my lack of knowledge of what district do.
No, but you would have an area president's meeting.
Yeah.
No.
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 You were president.
Perhaps not in James's year as president, but I can tell you that they've definitely heard them since, and the presidents have been invited and have attended. Alan was at one last week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting on to you, Carol.
No. But
in
you're
any way,
right,
but
that answers the question about the fact that the area presidents are meeting, but it doesn't disseminate down to the clubs. So
yeah,
that's a case in point in terms of that aspect though. But from that point of view,
but
Jen.
it's just my experience of being involved with the district and all my years in Rotary.
So we'll address a lot of that this weekend for you.
Yes, we will do.
Okay.
Your handover starts in the departure lounge at Inverness Airport at 1 But in your notebook.
Yes, one important element of that, James, is that I shall hold monthly meetings with all of you, and you have an opportunity, it's your meeting, to ask any questions, seek any support, whatever.
But is it fair to say that, that the role of the assistant governor kind of starts now, with a view that, you know, you James, as the assistant governor going in, you will be assistant governor to presidents that are incoming. So the assemblies will be run by those incoming presidents, and you will be looking after the assembly.
Correct. You know, you have to start your preparation sooner than you take the reins, so that you know where you're going and set your direction and your targets. But we can help with that by discussion and talking.
Right, okay, thanks very much for that.
I'm available at any time if you want to talk through things. So that's part of my role, to be available for you.
Yes, I mean, I can't be the only new AG in District 1010, so I mean, others might have similar feelings as myself at the moment.
But they may not be as brave as you to say it.
Sorry?
They may not be as brave as you to say it.
Well, what I will say is Alistair Walker, who's the outgoing AG, I mean, he did drop me an email saying, you know, congratulations, Barry, if there's anything you need help, you know, get in touch. So he's kind of made contact and said he's there to ask questions. So, and likewise, I'm coming out of a district team leaders post, and I invited Alan along tonight to my team meeting to start getting him involved. So I think, I don't know who's your AG just now, but you might find them.
Yeah, Libya and I went through this last year.
Absolutely. I think it was very overwhelming, James, but I found we were directed to look at all the training on the Learning Development Centre and the website. And I found that really good for background, because in all my years in Rotary, I never really saw district people until I took over youth competitions and things. So I really didn't understand the district at all. But that helped, definitely. And you can sit and do it in the comfort of your own home and your own time. And the training that I attended as assistant governor was very good. And I felt better prepared going forward. And then I had, obviously, one of the ladies in our club, she had stood in as AG the 6 months before I took over. And so I had her input, and she'd been a district officer before. So you eventually put all these things together to support you. But it is totally new, and I felt absolutely out of my depth. But because I wanted to do it, you start to put it together, and the clubs were lovely. The clubs were lovely.
Yeah, well, I have had a look at Rotary Club Central and My Rotary and that sort of thing. However, that is for universal. What I don't know is what the clubs in my area are doing at this current moment in time. And until I get to know what each club is doing, then
a 2-hour break out.
One thing I would say, I've been at the International Assembly and I've had Zooms every day this last 8 days, and it's 10-minute breakouts you get, and there's 22 of you on. So yeah, there's never enough time. Feedback from the team leaders room, if there's any key things coming up.
Yeah. I think John Johnson could summarise it very effectively.
Thanks, Brian. we're just saying how we can support and link to clubs through the president's meetings and things like that. And I raised the concern that there's now 13 AG groups and there's only one of me, and it's about taking up time. What I kind of half suggested was it would be really good if all the team leads did a 10-minute video that we could just post to everybody, and that way they could use them and maybe update them every quarter or something with new things. But it's kind of as a almost like a laugh, but in reality, with having more AG groups, getting the message to all the presidents, it's more important to get it done at MD PEPs, and probably the roadshow idea of things as well for bigger groups face to face. But I think we need to do some sort of short video or short PowerPoint presentation that's recorded on Zoom or something. Make sure that the presentation doesn't have 7,000 words on it and you're reading every single word that's on that presentation. Make sure it's got something of interest, making sure it's people having fun, making sure it has the right pictures, not pictures, but the right image that we're trying to portray. And just make sure that we're trying to hit the button a wee bit. And I think if we forward think and plan a little bit of that, then it might be worth doing in the longer run. And certainly we're all, the team leaders are all keen to have some input to the president's meeting, and quite happy if we're invited to go along to them. So there's not a problem from that. But again, it's one of time, because we've got more areas now and less of us. That's all I was saying. Okay.
And the other point is team leaders dependent on quality information coming back from the AG reports about the good stuff that's happening in clubs.
Okay, very valid. And from the AG room, who wants to contribute for that?
Well, I was late with my technical difficulties getting there, but I think, Kath, you were at the beginning and you could hear everything.
I don't think I could, Jim. Thank you. It was an AG meeting. I was just sitting in.
The next
it wouldn't be right for me to say. Thank you.
Experience of Carol.
I didn't know he was going to pick on me. So yeah, I think we covered all the headings that you gave us, Ken. I think there's that period of intrepidation and that period of change as A, we go into new areas, and B, as the newbie, as they keep calling themselves, but they're going to be brilliant, AGs coming in, and just about how that handover process is going to work. Like feeling we're all kind of looking forward to getting inspiration out of Warwick and a couple of glasses of wine.
I'll buy the first one. There you go.
And the other thing is that
this meeting's being recorded.
If anyone has any doubts or needs support, I'm here for them, and they just need to let me know that they want that, and it's given.
There's also one thing I forgot to mention, that Kath's actually got a consultant working for her, and I saw the consultant walking across the keyboard earlier. Very good consultant, I believe.
She attends a lot of meetings.
I was going to say she's got the best attendance of us all.
She has, yeah, without any shadow of doubt.
Yeah.
And although you can't see her, she's still here.
One of the things I just picked up, and we'll test this at Warwick. I was just listening to the ones in the AGs. There might be some value in the new AGs just coming together and having a chat afterwards, a wee session together if we need. Let's see how that could work out. But it's certainly something I picked up just listening to the conversation in there, and listening to John as well. Getting the right presentation skills is important, and some people are not comfortable doing that. So if there's something we could do in there, I'm happy to look at it as well. We've actually asked, Heather's asked at the moment, for some people to say, what I get out of Rotary in 1-minute video clips. And that kind of answers the question earlier on about reaching into different social media type avenues. And we'll see how that works. So, John, that might be a way of picking up some of it, perhaps, but we need to make sure we get the message across properly. And any other comments from people? Anything that?
If at Warwick, Ken, you got 45 minutes at the end of the session on the Sunday as a district roundup.
And indeed we have. And really that'll just pick up some of these key points. So there is time there. I do have a session I'm needing to get with a couple of other DGEs, but otherwise we've got the evenings, we've got Saturday, Friday and Saturday, and we can catch time over breakfast as well as over breakfast Sunday and that time, so that we can make time to make all that work. Anybody, anything else? Julian thinking, or is he?
No, I've got nothing else, Ken.
Okay. I'll just go quickly around the screen. Brian J.
No, I don't think I've got anything particularly to add. Yeah, I thought it was a good session there in breakout room, and particularly we had a good chat about doing little videos, and Alan seems to be the guy who's volunteering to get some training on that. So bring it on, Alan.
So Alan, I'll pick up you next.
Yes, I'm one of the guinea pigs who made a short video for Heather on membership. So see how that goes. But yeah, I think this is a great idea, having little short clips or something we can send around to the AGs that they can present at their leisure, basically, rather than forcing ourselves upon their meetings. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
good idea.
Yeah,
John J.
Just again, we've just done 2 dot sessions on Zoom. We're changing all the time. We're looking at what we can do to improve them, and please use the feedback forms again to let us know what you think and how we can get better as a district at doing what we do. Thank you.
That's how Jim can get better than me. Is that what you're saying?
That's my job.
I thought that. Yeah, Carol.
Hey, no, nothing from me. Thank you. Been a good evening.
Okay, Mary.
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Kath.
No.
Okay, Paul.
I guess just a practical point, all these grand plans about meeting up, is there some way that all this is coordinated? Is there a WhatsApp group or something?
Not at the moment.
There's an idea.
And as a lead consultant on WhatsApp, I'll let you sort that out.
Well, if everybody could send me their phone number, if you don't mind.
It's in the directory for you.
It's in the directory. Good point. All right.
Wait a minute. It's on DMS.
Oh, good grief. Expect me to go look at that? Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do
it. Julian.
Nothing else from me.
David Fryer. Can't hear you.
There's never a better time to innovate, and we've mentioned videos. Let's think about how we can use them to get the message out, and it's about showing what we do.
Exactly. One thing we didn't quite close out, and this is a bit of a bonus for you, Brian Johnson. If anybody's told to unmute themselves, they've got to give $5 to Foundation. David Anderson.
Just one little one. Brian made I thought was a good point there of an option being perhaps to, especially for us newbies, to enlist some help from experienced people from the clubs at the presentations. I think there's mileage in that, but give me a tip on how I go about finding those good experienced people that would be willing hands.
All the AGs know all the people. It's easy. Yeah. James Milton.
I think I'm encouraged after having the breakout session that my concerns are in some way addressed.
Okay, great. That's super. Celia.
Not a lot. The WhatsApp group is a good idea. I've just already sent you my number, Paul, so you don't have to look me up. It's on the chat line, so you've already got it.
Libby.
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Alistair McNair.
All I'll say is those newbies that are going to Warwick, for goodness sake, enjoy yourself, and I mean in a learning way. Meet people from other districts and talk to them as well, and then you'll go forward and do well for our district.
Yeah, thank you. Ronald.
Yeah, fine. No, it's a good session. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
No, I'm fine.
And Brian, would you do the closing words, please?
Yes, I will. Thank you. I'm not going to Warwick, but I'm just back from England yesterday, and it's great. There's no COVID down there at all. Everybody's hugging and shaking hands, so you're gonna have a great time. Thank you all for coming along to the 2 sessions. It's going to be an interesting year for you. I've written some keywords down. It's going to be busy. It's going to be exciting. At times, it's going to be frustrating, but overall, it's going to be very rewarding. And the one thing we need to be sure as a district team that we all work together to make sure that all of your activities are effective. I don't mind being busy as long as it's busy with a purpose. I hate reinventing wheels and doing other stuff. I hope the sessions made you clearer on your role and what you're about to do, what your plans are. But as we've said several times, there's always help available. So just ask if you've got any problems. So thanks again from me, and I'll pass back to Ken.
So in terms of asking, one thing I didn't ask yet is 2 other volunteers to help with the plan. Who's going to put their hand up first? You know, if you don't put your hand up, you know me better than that, so I'll just put your hand up for you. Come on. Who's going to, there we go, Alan. Thank you, Alan. One other?
It was Carol.
Carol? Excellent. Thank you very much. Go back to the theme for the year. Imagine Rotary. Imagine what we can achieve together. I think we're going to have a fabulous year. And as Brian says, let's have fun doing it. Thanks all so much for coming along tonight. And I'm on the first one at Warwick. And the rest of you, I'll catch up. There you go. Thanks all very much indeed.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.